Good afternoon, I'm Raine Musñgi. This is Newsfeed. A stern warning from China, Beijing's top diplomat telling Washington's national security advisor Jake Sullivan not to meddle in the escalating maritime tensions between the Philippines and China. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi says the U.S. should not condone what he called actions of infringement being committed by the Philippines. He adds the U.S. should not use bilateral treaties as an excuse to undermine China's sovereignty. The Philippines and the U.S. have strengthened defense and military ties under President Bongbong Marcos, a turnaround from the Duterte administration's pivot to China. This against the backdrop of China stepping up its aggression in the West Philippine Sea. Sullivan is on a 3-day visit to China for talks intended to ease simmering tensions between China and the U.S. In his meeting with Wang, the prospects of fresh talks between U.S. President Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping were also discussed. Sullivan also met one of Xi's top military officials, General Zhang Youxia, Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission.
It is rare that we have the opportunity to have this kind of exchange, and given the state of the world and the need for us to responsibly manage the U.S.-China relationship, I think this is a very important meeting. As you said, President Biden and President Xi set the direction for the relationship at the San Francisco summit, and also set out a substantive agenda for us to work together on areas of mutual interest, and also for us to manage carefully the differences in approach.
The Commission on Human Rights calls for an exhaustive search for missing environmental activist Rowena Dasig. Tagged by the military as a communist leader, Dasig was arrested in 2023 for the illegal possession of firearms, ammunition, and explosives. The case against Dasig was dismissed in August this year, but she hasn't been seen since walking free. The CHR has launched its own probe into her disappearance. Health reform advocate Tony Liachon insists the transfer of unused PhilHealth funds is unconstitutional. Speaking to BNC's At the Forefront, the former DOH advisor on non-communicable diseases said the universal health care law is clear. Funds for health should only be earmarked for health and nothing else. A Finance Department circular directed PhilHealth, among other government-owned and controlled corporations, to remit to the National Treasury its unused funds for the government's unprogrammed appropriations. This is in compliance with a special provision under the 2024 General Appropriations Act. At stake here is the $90 billion excessed PhilHealth funds.
What I'm saying, it is unconstitutional. Two, it is illegal. I'm not a lawyer, but based on discussion with the Syntax Coalition lawyers, it's a form of technical malversation. Because pera yun ng PhilHealth, hindi mo siya pwedeng ilipat for bridges, buildings related to DPWH projects. And the last one, which I think more painful, is actually immoral. Kasi people right now are suffering. When you're in the hospital, lining up, magpapa-admit sila, and then after that, magdi-discharge against advice. Ang iba hindi na nakakapunta sa ospital. I have 2 patients na practically nag-suicide.
PhilHealth already remitted 20 billion pesos in May. Last August, too, a TRO petition for the remittance was filed at the Supreme Court. But another 10 billion pesos was remitted last August 21st. In October and November, 2 more remittances of 30 billion pesos each are scheduled, completing the 90 billion pesos.
If the allocation to infrastructure and the other unprogrammed funds of the PhilHealth unutilized funds disappears, meaning nagamit na siya and then suddenly PhilHealth requires this money, who will be endangered by that appropriation?
Well, the Filipino people will be endangered. Tsaka, this will be a precedent eh. So ibig sabihin, the PhilHealth will be a milking cow later on if the Supreme Court will not issue a TRO or will prevent the further transfer. Magiging milking cow ang PhilHealth from here on. So ano pang gana mo mag-contribute,
Yes.
di ba?
Yeah.
Ba't ka pa magko-contribute? Wala ka naman palang mapapala dito.
The Guadalupe Bridge in EDSA will soon have its long overdue repairs. In a press briefing earlier, MMDA Chair Don Artes says a temporary bridge will be constructed beside Guadalupe Bridge to still allow traffic flow once repair work start. Artes adds there is now an urgent need to repair Guadalupe Bridge because of the visible cracks and to reinforce the foundation. Awarding of construction project for the temporary bridge is expected in December, and preliminary work will start in January 2025, which will last until October. Once the temporary bridge is complete, Guadalupe Bridge will be closed for the needed repairs. Sheila Go, sister of dismissed Bamban Mayor Alice Go, may be detained elsewhere, according to Senator Gatchalian. Agatha Gregorio joins us on the line for the details. Agatha, go ahead.
Raine, that's right. At the kapihan sa Senado today, Senator Gatchalian lamented how Sheila Go appeared uncooperative at the hearing on Alice Go's departure from the country. Gatchalian says the facility where Sheila is held in the Senate is considerably more comfortable than other places for detention. If Sheila keeps refusing to cooperate, she might find herself at another less comfortable facility. During the Senate hearing this week, Go repeatedly answered, "I don't know," to questions on where Alice is and where they supposedly boarded a boat to Malaysia. The lawmaker adds Sheila Go should be part of the money laundering case to be filed due to the role she played in Alice Go's businesses, including corporate secretary and treasurer. Gatchalian also expects that perjury and disobedience cases against Go will be filed within the week. The next Senate hearing on Go is set on Monday. Back to you, Raine.
Thank you so much for that report, Agatha Gregorio. In Gaza, living conditions continue to worsen as disposal of garbage and sewage has ground to a halt as the conflict rages on. Local authorities in central Gaza's Deir al-Bala are unable to transport garbage and treat wastewater from a refugee camp due to lack of facilities, vehicles, and fuels. Debris mixed with dust and unexploded ammunition has polluted the Gaza environment, posing serious threats to people's health. A spokesman from Gaza's health ministry says diseases like hepatitis are spreading among the people due to environmental pollution. More than 100,000 people in the Gaza Strip have been infected with hepatitis A, and the incidence rate of skin disease has also increased sharply, especially among children. Since the conflict broke out in October last year, an estimated 39 million tons of debris have been generated in the Gaza Strip. Israel will soon open an ancient pair of burial tombs to the public. Nestled between apartment buildings, the underground tombs are said to be at least 1,700 years old. One was discovered in the city of Ashkelon nearly a century ago. The other, even older tomb was relocated there from a nearby site. The site, which opens in October, has been cleaned and painted, and the structures reinforced to allow in visitors.
It's very unique. In Israel, we have only 6 graves, painted graves, and only these 2 open to the public. So yeah, it's very unique, and it's unique not only to area of Israel, but it's unique around the world. We don't have so many painted tombs from the Roman period.
And that's the news this hour. Stay tuned for more of the top of the hour news here on BNC, Free TV Channel 31, and on our website, bnc.ph. Bilyonaryo News Channel, always on top. Good afternoon.